there are 4 different self-propelled forage harvester models. 3 of them, the FX30, FX40 and FX50, are equipped with Iveco engines. The FX60 has a Caterpillar engine. The FX30 has a 265 kilowatt or 360 horsepower engine. The FX40 is 315 kilowatts or 428 horsepower. The FX50 is 354 kilowatts or 481 horsepower. And the FX60 is 392 kilowatts or 533 horsepower. The forage harvester serial number and model number are located on the right-hand side of the steering platform. The engine serial number is stamped on the right-hand side of the engine, just below the cylinder head for Iveco engines. On the Caterpillar engine, the serial number can be found on a plate located at the left-hand side of the cylinder block. The attachment serial number can be found on a plate located at the top or rear of the attachment. The serial number of the mechanical four-wheel drive rear axle is printed on a plate located on the right-hand side. The control switches are situated in the instrument panel at the operator's right-hand side. From left to right, the high-capacity hydraulic switch. If this accessory is installed, the switch controls the oil flow to 2 quick couplers at the rear of the forage harvester. The harvest on-off switch. When this is switched on, all harvest functions become operational. For example, cutter head engagement, spout controls. The metal detector on-off switch. When starting up the cutter head, the metal detector is powered immediately. However, in case of malfunction, the operator can switch off the system to continue harvesting at his own risk. The autopilot on-off switch. When switched on, the autopilot is ready for use, but not yet operating. The silage additive applicator on-off switch. When this is switched on, a 12-volt socket at the front of the electronic box is powered if the attachment is in the hectare counting range. The feed rolls are engaged and the machine is moving. The operating lights and spotlights on-off switch. The beacons on-off switch. The power reverse on-off switch. This switch is used with a pickup equipped with a power reverse system. When reversing the feed rolls and attachment, the wind guard flips up and the position of the retractable fingers is inverted. The adjuster-matic on-off switch. When this switch is on, the adjuster-matic panel is activated and enables you to sharpen the knives and adjust the shear bar. The cutter head reverse on-off switch. When this is switched on, the cutter head runs in reverse. This is recommended to sharpen the knives and adjust the shear bar. The crop processor roll distance control switch. By means of this switch, the roll distance can be controlled from 2 mm to 20 mm. The cutter head on-off switch. The four-wheel drive on-off switch. The throttle up-down switch. With the harvest switch on, the engine can be throttled up to 2,100 RPM. With the harvest switch off, the maximum engine speed is limited to 1,750 RPM on models with an Iveco engine and to 1,650 RPM for Caterpillar. A range of warning lights is situated above the control switches. There are two different types of warning signal. First, when a situation arises that requires the immediate attention of the operator, the warning light will start flashing and the buzzer will sound. Examples are low brake fluid level or worn brake linings. Secondly, if a warning light is continuously illuminated, there's no emergency situation. For example, the parking brake. When the engine oil pressure is too low, the engine oil and coolant temperature is too high, or the hydrostatic charge oil pressure is too low, the feed rolls will stop immediately. After 5 seconds, the engine will automatically slow down to low idle and stall after 10 seconds. As for the door over the cutter head, the light will flash when the door is moving, and the light will be illuminated when the door is open. The attachment height indicator on the left indicates the attachment's relative position. When all lights are illuminated, hectare counting cannot take place. The alarm on the main drive oil filter is no longer used. There's now an indication on the filter top. The adjustomatic panel consists of one OK light, 4 warning lights, and 5 keys. The warning lights will be illuminated when the cutter head speed is lower than 750 RPM, which is a minimum speed to perform proper knife sharpening, or lower than 250 RPM, which is a minimum for proper shear bar adjustment. When there's a problem with the sharpening stone drive motor or with the shear bar adjustment motors. When the knock sensor in the shear bar is not working properly. When the sharpening stone has worn down too much, or when the cutter head knives are worn so much that the shear bar has reached the end of its travel. For automatic sharpening, proceed as follows. Set the engine at low idle speed. Disengage the feed rolls drive. Disengage the cutter head drive. Make sure the safe harvest switch is in the harvest position. Switch on the reverse drive cutter head switch. Throttle up the engine speed until the cutter head speed is at least 750 RPM. Switch on the adjustomatic switch and check if the OK light comes on. The adjustomatic system is now ready to be used. Press one of the sharpening routine keys. The sharpener door warning light will start flashing to indicate that the sharpener door is opening. The sharpener door opens automatically when a minute, 2 minutes or 3 minutes sharpening routine is selected, and closes automatically when sharpening is finished or interrupted. The Adjustomatic system will now start sharpening the knives for 1, 2 or 3 minutes. When the sharpening procedure is finished, the OK light will again be illuminated. If you want to interrupt the sharpening operation, press the Interrupt button. To adjust the shear bar, proceed as follows. It's assumed that the Adjustomatic is still activated as explained for the automatic sharpening. Throttle down. At low idle, the cutter head speed should equal or exceed 250 rpm. Press the shear bar adjustment key. The machine will now start the automatic shear bar adjustment routine. The OK light will be illuminated when the shear bar adjustment routine is finished. Now switch off the Adjustomatic switch and the reverse drive cutter head. To move the shear bar to its forward position, simultaneously press the Interrupt and the Adjust Shear Bar button. The multifunction lever has 3 switches and 1 button facing the operator. On the left, the feed roll and attachment drive switch. To engage the drive to feed the crop, press the upper part of the switch twice. To stop the drive, press the lower part of the switch, and to reverse, press the lower part of the switch a second time and hold it. In the middle, the spout deflector and spout rotation switch. By pushing the upper or lower part of the switch, the spout deflector is moved up or down. When you push the left or right part to its first stop, the spout will slowly rotate left or right. Pushing to the second stop will make the spout rotate faster. The slow speed can be calibrated. See the operator's manual. On the right, the attachment height control switch. This is used to manually lift and lower the attachment. If you hit the quick stop button, the motion of the feed rolls and the attachment will be interrupted immediately and all harvest functions are disabled. At the back of the multifunction lever, there are 2 buttons. The lower button is the autopilot activation button. The rear auxiliary hydraulics can be operated with the spout height control switches in the cab floor, provided the autopilot button is pressed. By pushing and releasing the automatic attachment height control button, the attachment will automatically lower or rise to a preset height or a preset ground pressure. The front auxiliary hydraulics can be operated with the spout height control switches in the cab floor, provided the automatic attachment height control button is pressed. On machines equipped with an hydraulically driven crop processor, the processor rolls can be moved completely in or out of the crop flow with the crop processor roll distance control switch, provided the automatic attachment height control button is pressed. In the armrest module, you'll find one handle, 3 knobs and 2 lights. By moving the multifunction lever forwards or backwards, the ground speed of the forage harvester can be controlled. The attachment height selector switch has 4 positions. 1. Manual control transport mode. 2. Ground pressure or flotation. 3 and 4. Stubble height control. Turn the attachment height control switch fully counterclockwise. The attachment height is now determined by the attachment height control switch on the multifunction lever only. In the pressure position, the required ground pressure can be selected even during harvesting by means of the ground pressure potentiometer. In the stubble height position, the pre-selected stubble height can be adjusted even during harvesting by means of the stubble height potentiometer. When the attachment is operating at the pre-selected stubble height or pre-selected ground pressure, the green auto-diagnostic indicator will be illuminated. The blinking sequence of the red self-diagnostic control light identifies an error report. The description of the errors can be found in the operator's manual. If you override the automatic attachment height control by manually pressing up or down, the green auto-diagnostic indicator will immediately be extinguished. This means you're in manual mode again. The forage harvester is monitored in the cab by means of the InfoView monitor. The InfoView monitor performs 4 basic functions: performance, service, calibration, and metal detector. Performance function. Engine load bar graph. The bar graph represents the power delivered by the engine. The top segment is fully black if the power is under 95% and goes blank when the power exceeds 100%. The bottom bar graph goes blank at 110% power. The best overall performance is achieved by working in the range between 1900 and 2100 RPM. When the power takeoff is higher than 98% and the engine RPM drop below 1800, the buzzer and a blinking engine symbol warn you to slow down because you are overloading the machine. On models equipped with an Iveco engine, an engine preheating symbol appears when the ignition is turned on. Wait to start until the symbol changes into the engine symbol. The speed mode. The cutter head speed is always displayed. The ground speed is displayed when you start the machine and drive off, or by pushing the ground speed button when engine speed was selected. The engine speed can be displayed instead of the ground speed by pressing the scroll up button. The cutting length or feed roll speed mode. Cutting length is always displayed. You can change the cutting length by turning the adjustment knob. The monitor displays the necessary gear selection of the feed roll drive gearbox. The high or low speed is selected with the lever on the gearbox. If the wrong gear is selected, the selected cutting length can't be reached. The gear indicator will start to flash, and actual cutting length is displayed on top of selected cutting length. Disengage the feed rolls and cutter head and select the correct gear. Before starting the feed rolls again, you must reverse them to make sure that the gear is positively engaged. When you've changed the length of cut, make sure the attachment speeds are still correct. Refer to your operator's manual for more detailed information. The hectare counting mode. The hectare counting mode is displayed by pressing the hectare button. It shows harvested area and elapsed cutter head time. Hectare counting is taking place when the plus symbol appears next to the area symbol. The hectare counter starts counting when the cutter head is engaged. The feed rolls are engaged, and the attachment is within the calibrated height range. When the full attachment width is not used, press the Attachment Width Correction button. The width will be reduced by 1/4 or 1 row when the button is pressed. The crop processor roll clearance mode. The clearance is shown on the screen when the crop processor clearance switch is pressed to either increase or decrease the roll clearance. Memory mode. In the memory mode, the harvested area can be stored, selected and cleared. Make sure you're in the hectare mode. Press the memory button to enter the memory mode. To store hectare counter results, press the Enter Clear key. To select memories, press the scroll up or the scroll down button. To clear memories, first select the memory that has to be cleared, not memory 1, and press the Enter Clear key. Service function. Press the Service button. The service mode displays cutter head and engine hours, serial number and software revision. The service mode also displays service intervals and error codes. If one of the service intervals starts blinking, which is an indication that this service is needed, the hour count can be reset to 0 after the service has been carried out. Select the relevant service interval with the scroll keys and push the Enter Clear key. The error overview can be selected with the scroll keys and displays all errors that occur on the machine. The errors appear in order of priority and provide the following information: the error number, the error frequency, date and time when the error first occurred, and a short explanation. To delete solved errors, select the error with the scroll key and push the Enter Clear key. Calibration function. Press the calibration button. Warning: calibration is a very important mode to obtain a correct functioning of your machine. Once set correctly, it normally doesn't need changing. Do not play around with it. Scroll the arrow up in front of number 1 and press Enter Clear. Select the number of knives which are fitted on the cutter head by scrolling up or down and press Enter Clear. 7 different languages can be chosen. Scroll the arrow in front of your language and press Enter Clear. Select metric or imperial by scrolling up or down and press Enter Clear. To calibrate engine RPM and the engine bar graph, select Yes and press Enter Clear. Throttle up with the harvest switch on and press Enter Clear. Calibration of the rotary brush frequency. Select Standard or Frequent by scrolling up or down. Select Frequent only in case of wet, dusty maze conditions. Press Enter Clear. Calibration of the minimum spout speed left. The spout can rotate at 2 speeds, of which the low speed can be calibrated. This calibration can be performed for left-hand and right-hand rotation separately. The value is changed by scrolling up or down. The factory setting is 190. Press Enter Clear. The calibration of the minimum spout speed right is the same as for minimum spout speed left. Press Enter Clear. Calibration of the capability to simultaneously move the spout left or right and the flipper up or down. Scroll up or down to select Yes or No. Press Enter Clear. User messages can be displayed or not. Scroll up or down to select Yes or No. User messages are very useful for new drivers because they draw attention to a wrong operation. Press Enter Clear. The contrast of the InfoView monitor can be changed by scrolling up or down. Press Enter Clear. The Cal Set Complete message appears. Press the calibration button again. The arrow is in front of number 2. Press Enter Clear. Attachment width. If a pickup is used, set the distance between the windrows. For row-independent attachments, set the effective working width, and for row crop attachments, set the number of rows and the row spacing. This setting can be done by using the scroll button. Press Enter Clear. When the machine is equipped with a direct cut header, a protection for overspeeding of the cutting knife can be activated. Scroll up or down to select Yes and press Enter Clear. The next step is the semi-automatic attachment calibration, which is necessary to have a correct automatic stubble height and compensation. Make sure the attachment is up. Select Yes on the screen by scrolling up or down. Press Enter Clear. Now the monitor will give instructions on what to do. Step 1. Push the attachment down for at least 2 seconds. The attachment will automatically lower to calibrate the ground level. Step 2. Push the attachment up for at least 2 seconds. The attachment will automatically rise to find the maximum attachment height. Step 3. Push the attachment down for at least 2 seconds. The attachment will automatically lower to just above the ground to calibrate the pressure in the hydraulic cylinders at low level. Step 4. Push the attachment up for at least 2 seconds. The attachment will automatically rise to just under the maximum height to calibrate the pressure at high level. Now the semi-automatic attachment calibration is finished. If during the semi-automatic attachment calibration a problem occurs, a message appears on the screen. In that case, check the operator's manual to adjust the attachment height sensor. The next item is attachment height calibration, which calibrates the upper and lower limit for the hectare counter. Press Enter Clear. Attachment height. By using the scroll buttons, select Yes to calibrate the height. Set the attachment at the limit height for hectare counting and press Enter Clear. Lower the attachment to the lowest level and press Enter Clear. Cal set complete. Press the calibration button again and set the arrow in front of number 3 and press Enter Clear. Set the correct ground speed tuning, which is 1000 when the original tyres are installed, and press Enter Clear. Whenever changing tyres, see the operator's manual to find the correct figure to obtain an accurate ground speed readout and to perform accurate hectare counting. Cal set complete. Press the calibration button and set the arrow in front of number 4 and press Enter Clear. Select Crop Processor Yes if an electrically controlled crop processor is installed and press Enter Clear. Select Crop Pro Plus Yes if a hydraulically driven crop processor is installed, and select Crop Pro Plus No if a belt-driven crop processor is installed. Press Enter Clear. Select Calibration Crop Processor Distance Yes and press Enter Clear. Open the crop processor rolls and press Enter Clear. Close the crop processor rolls and press Enter Clear. Cal set complete. Press Calibration and set the arrow in front of number 5 to calibrate the date and time and press Enter Clear. Set the date and time with the scroll keys and press Enter Clear to confirm and to switch to the next item. The calibration is now complete. Note that all functions can always be interrupted by pressing the Escape button. The InfoView monitor contains a metal detector diagnostic page. If you press the Scroll Down button, this diagnostic page appears on the screen. It informs you about the mode in which the metal detector is working, adaptive or fixed, the sensitivity levels, and the magnetic noise of the feed rolls and the magnetic disturbance during detection. Press the scroll up and down keys simultaneously to change from fixed to adaptive mode and vice versa. It's recommended to work in adaptive mode. Warning! When the operator leaves the seat for more than 5 seconds, the following will happen for safety reasons. The feed rolls will stop. The autopilot will be disengaged. The engine will slow to low idle. And when sharpening knives, the sharpening stone will stop at its home position. In compliance with legislation, a tool is needed to open several shieldings on the forage harvester. The rear door of the engine compartment can be lifted only when the side doors are already open. The tension of the engine fan, alternator and compressor drive belts should be checked daily. Refer to your operator's manual. The rotary screen doors on both sides of the machine consist of a protective outside door and an inside door. A rotating brush keeps the doors free of dust. Before opening, make sure the engine is shut off and all rotating parts have stopped. Behind the left-hand screen door, we find the air filter and the coolers. The hydraulic hydrostatic oil cooler and the condenser assembly can be pulled out to facilitate cleaning. A small guard can be taken off so dust can be removed from between the engine radiator and the air-to-air turbo intercooler. The cab filter is located near the cab door. On the right-hand side, a horizontal and a vertical plate can be slid out to have access to the various drives. The cutter head drive is protected by 2 shear bolts, and the blower drive in the middle is protected by 1 shear bolt. Spare shear bolts are available on the machine. The shear bar is adjusted automatically by the electric motors on both sides. As mentioned before, the shear bar can be pushed forward by simultaneously pressing the interrupt and the adjust shear bar button. The automatic shear bar adjustment occurs alternatively left and right. Whenever an electric problem occurs, the shear bar can still be adjusted manually by turning the nuts at the end of the rods. But first, you must disconnect the electric connectors for the adjustomatic at the left and right cab sidearm. There is an automatic sharpening system. However, in the event of an electric failure, it's possible to open the door above the cutter head manually with a wrench. Again, the adjustomatic cables have to be removed first. And it's also possible to move the stone manually. Use a tool on the hexagonal nut to achieve a stone speed of about 10 double strokes a minute. Here as well, the adjustomatic cables have to be removed first. It's also possible to screw a long rod into the stone carrier, allowing you to pull the stone back and forth. To do this, the stone drive chain must be disconnected. There are safety decals placed on the machine. They're intended for your personal safety and that of people working with you.